So, first one I'm going to ignore because that you shouldn't get wrong. This one, the 3 lots of 3x minus 1 is equal to 4 lots of 2x minus 3. Who made the mistake that I told everyone that at least one of you would make? Cameron, well done. Good for admitting that. You're not the only one. Okay? The mistake is you multiply the first bit, you don't multiply the second bit. More than one person did that. All right? Remember, what does 3 times 3x minus 1 look like? Well, it means I've got 3x minus 1. If I even made it into blocks on algebra tiles, it would be x, x, and x, yeah? I had a block for each value of x and a block that was equivalent to minus 1. What does 3 lots of that look like? It's 3 lots of everything. So it would end up being 9 x's and 9 lots of negative 1. So that would be 9x minus, sorry, not 9 lots, I'm getting confused myself. 3 lots of negative 1. So it'd be minus 3. Okay, so we've got 9x minus 3, and on this side it's 8x minus 12. That's where the mistakes happen. I think from this point people were generally okay. Would add the 3, gives me 9x is equal to 8x minus 9. Subtract the 8x, gives me x equals minus 9. Okay. Is there any y value to be found?
Nope.
Not in this case. All right. Just being asked to solve that equation. Could I find the y value?
No, you could make it. Yeah, you could make 2 equations and have one of them.
But both of them have the same x, and they're equal, so they both have the same y. No? Isn't that what it means when it's equal? It means y equals 3 times 3x minus 1, and y equals 4 times 2x minus 3. If I'm writing that with the equal sign in the middle, I'm basically saying it's where they cross, right? So at that point, they share the same x and y value. So I could ask you to solve for y. I didn't, because I've only got x's in there. Yeah. Technically, I should have written solve for x. All right. But it doesn't have a y, so I'm not worried if you didn't do that. That's fine. Right, but I could. How would I do it, by the way? Nope. Jack? Yeah. I found the x, put it into either one, I'll find the same y. Do you believe me that it'll be the same?
Yes.
Yeah? Because they're equal to each other. Good. All right, so then obviously the problems come with fractions. 2/3 of x plus 2 is equal to 4 subtract a half x. So problems here, people did multiply through, fine, to get rid of the fraction. That's good, but right, if I multiply this side by what? 3? That does get rid of the 2 divided by 3x. Yeah? But it doesn't leave a plus 2. It gives me a 2x plus 6. On this side, I must also multiply by 3, which gives me a 12 minus 3 halves x. Right? Now, I do understand this is not how everyone did it, but this is probably the way I would suggest. What would I do next? Multiply this one by 2. Therefore, the brackets help, guys. Help you visualize what I should be doing. If you're going to multiply or divide, put brackets around everything if you need to. Right? This means this becomes 4x plus 12 equals 24 minus 3x. Okay. And now we add 3x. Gives me 7x plus 12 is equal to 24. Then you subtract the 12. Gives me 7x equals 12. We then divide by 7 and we get x is equal to 12 divided by 7. Okay? People did other routes. They find at this stage here, all right, I'm not going to go through the whole method. If it's your method, then that's fine. Some people added a half x at this point. So then they had 2/3 x plus a half x plus 2 equals 4. They then subtracted the 2. So we've got 2/3 x plus a half x is equal to 2. Okay? So how do I add 2/3 x and half an x? Common denominator. So that's 4/6 plus 3/6, which makes 7/6 is equal to 2. Actually, I am ending up doing the whole thing, which then multiplied by 6 gives me 7x is equal to 12, which is where I was anyway. X is 12 divided by 7. So that was the using fractions, adding them together method. All right? Whichever one you prefer. Okay. Ooh. Right. Any questions on that? The next one. Ooh. Y equals 4x plus 3 and y equals minus x minus 2. There are lots of ways, well, 3 ways that we've done to address this, really, isn't there? There is the equivalent method, which is, well, y equals y, so I could just solve 4x plus 3 is equal to minus x minus 2. Just do it that way. What must I do at the end of this one, though, that I didn't do in the first one? Solve for y as well, because I've got y and I've got x. I want both. So I could have set it up like that. Add x gives me 5x equals, take the 3, minus 5, so x equals -1. Okay. What was the other method? The other method was to write them this way and call it 1 and 2 and do subtractions. 1 subtract 2. What's y subtract y? Not y. Take anything and subtract the same amount, you always get 0. Doesn't matter what it is. 4x subtract negative x is 5x. 3 subtract negative 2 is, we end up with subtract 5. X equals -1. Okay? Then the really hard way, I think I saw one person do it, is to rearrange it so that we've got y plus 2 is negative x, and then negative y minus 2 is x. You then substitute that in, so it becomes y equals 4 lots of minus y minus 2, okay, plus 3. It will work, it will get there, but not the most efficient method. All right, so I'm not going to carry on with that. I don't know whether it was this question someone did that for, but was that you attaining that one? I think, yeah. You did this one, didn't you? You rearranged it. If you're going to do a substitution method, you just substitute the y. That's this one, isn't it? That would have been, this way would have been my choice, by the way. I would have done this one. But you do whichever method you like as long as you get the right answers. But I do want an x is and a y is, and you end up with y is -1 as well. All right? Which, again, just to confirm that, if I put that into this one, y equals negative x. X is -1, so you have to do, replace the x with the -1, then subtract 2. That becomes 1 minus 2, which is minus 1. Okay? Any questions on that? No? Good. Right. I'm not going to do it because I think we kind of know what we're going to do with the next one. What do you do with this one? Which way do you solve it? Jack?
I use substitution, right, got it. The exercise weighted on the left.
Yeah, this one was relatively easy, wasn't it? As substitution, I could have done x is equal to 7y plus 19 and put it in there, yeah? That's one option. That's probably easiest way. The other way is to multiply this whole one by 5, and just to confirm, if I do that, I have to multiply every single part, so it then becomes 1. The new one is 5x minus 35y equals 95. Okay, then what do you do? Add or subtract? Because they're both the same, aren't they? People get confused with focusing on the sign in the middle, but they're not the ones we've made the same. The sign here is plus and plus, and if the signs are the same, you subtract. That's the shortcut method. So we subtract that, and we'd end up getting our answers. And we end up with x is negative 9, and y is negative 4. All right? You can do that in your time. The next one is obviously where the challenges are. A third of x plus a half of y equals negative a quarter. And then we've got a 6x minus 5/6y is equal to 11 over 16. Okay. What would you do first? What makes sense to do first? I have no idea I could not figure out. It all looks like it makes sense, but you got the wrong answer. I couldn't figure out your first step. So I'll be interested in a bit to know what you did. All right, what do we do for this one? My step would be to get rid of the fractions. So how do I get rid of the fractions? What do I multiply this all by? I could do it in turn. I could multiply by 3, then multiply by 2, then multiply by 4. Or find the common. What's the one that goes? 12. So this one needs to be 12 thirds plus 12 halves, which ends up being 4x plus 12y equals, sorry, yeah, just going too quick, 6y. All right, so that's an equivalent transformation, right? I'll do the same to this side. So it's going to be a big one, right? But that's not scary. We've got use of our calculators, not a problem. So multiply this one by 6, top and bottom. And multiply these ones by 16, yeah? Top and bottom. Why am I doing it that way this time? Because I'm just writing equivalent fractions at the moment. Okay? So that would be, what's 16 over minus 5 lots of 16? Equals, okay. So this is actually equivalent, okay. All right. So what do I do? What can I do at this stage? times everything by 96. Yeah, it's gone off the screen. So that just gives me 16x minus 80y equals, okay? Which is basically, do you see what I did here? But I just did it the whole hog on this side. All right, what would you choose to do now?
Divide by 2.
Oh, gone, sorry.
Divide everything by 2.
Divide this one by 2. 8x minus,
40y plus 33
and then this one,
is 2x plus.
no, I don't want to do that. I want them the same, right? So if I times this one by 2, I get now, remember, I guess this is not necessarily what I did, but what I've done here is instead of multiply one of them to get something, I've actually multiplied one and divided the other to get by middle ground. Yeah? So now I've got my number 1, right,
They both share.
is 8x plus 12y is equal to negative 6. Number 2 is 8x minus 40y is equal to 33. What do I do now? 2 subtract 1 this time. Let's just do it that way around. That's 0x minus 40 subtract 12 minus 52y. 33 subtract negative 6 positive 39, which y is therefore 39 over 52, but it is negative. Okay. What is that then? Divide by 13 if you know your times tables, and you get negative.
3 over 5. No, 4.
You got that.
Yeah. What about the other one?
Questionable.
Maybe yours is right then. Well, I'll check. I just couldn't figure out what you'd actually
Then we
done.
have to solve for it.
It's like the M1s.
I did not.
No, it wasn't as bad as the M1s. He made a jump somewhere, and I couldn't figure out what he'd done. That's all.
It was worse than the M1s.
No.
It was for you read and mine's abusing.
No, it doesn't. So then we've got, we've got to find x now. Substituting. Now, it's just a bit awkward because it's fractions, but which one do we use? Whichever one you like. So shall I just... Well, there's one that's got a 4 in it, yeah? I'm not going to use any of these. Should we go and use... You want to use this one?
Yeah. 4x plus 6y.
What is it? 4x plus 6y equals
Minus 3.
minus 3. Okay, so then we've got 4x plus 6 lots of negative 3 quarters is negative 3. So 4x plus, so it's actually 4x minus negative
Oh, yeah. 8 minus
18 over 4 is equal to negative 3.
Simplify.
Are you alright if I do negative 3 is negative 12 over 4?
Half by 4 and then divided by 4.
Are you fine with that? Because what is 12 divided by 4? 3. Why have I written it that way?
Oh, so that way you can.
Common
times-
denominator. So now I can add 18 over 4. So 4x is equal to negative 12 over 4. Add 18 over 4.
Becomes 30 over. No, 20 over.
What is it? 6 over 4. So now we divide by 4 and we get 6 over 16. Because if you divide a fraction, you multiply by the denominator, right? Which is... Is that what you got? We got that. I think that was where I was kind of like, you got half of it, and I was like, I can't figure out. Yeah.
I tried working it out.
So that one is challenging, but only because it's fractions.
The coffee,
Right, we all know why you couldn't do the coffee one. You didn't write the equation, that's all. So the first equation, right? So it says coffee distributor, 2 types of coffee. Premium blend is 1050. Okay. Standard is 825. Okay. And it tells you distributor wishes to create 20 kilograms of a mixture containing 2 blends that sell at $9 per kilogram. Okay. How many kilograms? So this was the hard bit. Well, the easy bit was the first one, which is P plus S has to equal 20 because P and S stand for the
premium and standard.
the kilograms, the number of kilograms, not just premium and standard. You have to think, what does it actually mean? It's not just a word, it has a meaning. P stands for the number of kilograms, right? Therefore, P plus S is 20 because 20 is a number of kilograms. It has to make sense, all right? The next piece of information is all about money. If this is 1050 per kilogram, then it's 1050 P plus
825 S. I put X and Y. Equals 180.
See, that's the problem. No. It's 9 per kilogram.
And 20 kilograms, so 180.
So 180.
Because I can't say 180 because you're then saying that's how many kilograms. That's it solved, right? But it's not. It's saying how many should there be. So the amount of kilograms for each is unknown, right? This is the difficult part of this question. All right? It is definitely $9 per kilogram, but it's a mix. X plus Y, but not X plus Y in my case. It's P plus S. You are going to say 20 kilos and 9, but it's not 20 kilos.
Well, I mean, no, for the total, it does have to be $180 for the 20 kilos. But wouldn't it make sense, like, if, so I did P as X.
Well, I guess
times Y.
technically, yes, now we could do P plus S is equal to 20. We could put it in.
Well, you don't need to know to write the equation because if it's the price times the number of kilograms plus the price times the number of kilograms, it has to equal 180 if it's $9 per kilogram and there's 20 kilograms.
Well, let's see. So the way I went about this now, let's see whether we get the same approach then. So I actually went 1050p plus 825 S is equal to 9p plus 9s. Yeah. I then subtracted and subtracted. So I got 150p plus minus 0.75 S is equal to 0. Yeah.
Where did you get the
1050p, subtract 9p's,
Oh,
subtract 9s's.
okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So that's just this one used, but simplified, yeah? What do I then do? P plus S is 20. All right, so I think I chose to make it 20 minus S is equal to P and substituted it in, right? So I've got 150, 20 minus S minus 0.75 S has to equal 0. All right, making sense so far? 1.5 lots of 20 minus 1.5 s, I'll just do, right, minus another 0.75 s is equal to 0. So 30 minus 2.25 s is equal to 0, which means 30 is equal to 2.25 s. So s is equal to 30 divided by 2.25. So s is equal to it ends up being 40 over 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
40 over 3.
This is a prime example where if it's over 3, if I turn that into a decimal, what do I end up having to do for the rest of it?
13.3.
You have to round it, and then what happens with my p?
It's not a whole number.
It's not accurate. Good. That's the correct use of the word. Is it? Inaccurate?
Yeah. 'cause we have
Well, I've rounded, I've reduced my accuracy, and my accuracy being less has then made the second part actually, and there's an error in it. This is where I've got both of them, right? Because what do? I know that p plus s has to equal 20, so 40 thirds plus s has to equal, use my trick, what do I change that to?
Divide by 3.
No. 60, yeah. Why do I want to do that? Because then I know s is,
20.
sorry, yeah, sorry, I wrote it the wrong way around, didn't I? S is that, so this is p. P is
20 over 3.
20 over 3.
Which is 6.6 recurring.
Yeah?
And the other one's 13.3 recurring.
Do we get the same if we did what, if we'd have replaced this with 180? Should we try it? Wasn't my intention, but do we get it? Well, why don't you do that now? Take these, right? So instead of having a 9p plus s, stick that in to where I had, so this is 180, and see whether you get the same answer. See if it works.
Just left it as a fraction, which is 30 over 11. 30 over 11. Yeah.
So 7. So wait.
Why is this not the way? So, just to remind you, if I write this out, the problem is I've inserted, so remember I said it was 10.5p plus 8.25s is equal to 9 lots of p plus s, yeah? And then we substitute that in there, which gives us 9 lots of 20, which is equal to 180. But what's the problem with what I've just done and ended up with to reach this? Let me rewrite that.
The 9 is money, and then P plus S is kilogram.
Well, these are money as well, so actually it's all money. But the problem is I've substituted one into the other, and I'm left with 1, but how many unknowns? 2. How many equations do I need to solve for 2 unknowns? 2. Did you struggle to find?
I got that now.
Right. That's why if I substitute this into this part, right, I'm not substituting in for P or S. And what must be the result if I substitute in? 1. I must end up with 1 variable. Now there is a way through.
Oh, it's not 5.
P plus S can be replaced there, but what must I also now do? Replace one of these as well. I could chuck that in for P and get 10.5 lots of 20 minus S.
Yeah.
Do that. That would be the way around it. But to just replace it with the 180 and do nothing else was not going to work for you. Okay? Alright.
I am very